Hi guys, talk about PALI. Did not hit the short on this one, but did hit the same high day clear out short trap that we've seen all last week. The pattern continues. This one had the least amount of continuation out of all of them, which kind of makes me think that the pattern, maybe it was just ultra specific to this ticker, but the pattern might stop working soon. It's pretty normal for a pattern in low floats to repeat itself um, in a short time span. And then once people start kind of catching on, it stops, it kind of disappears. And, it might be weeks or even a month or two before it comes back, right? But I would say as far as short trap patterns go, kind of like this very manipulated low float type of short trap. This is the most common, and it's the most common because high clearouts are the most well-known pattern when it comes to shorting, right? It's a pattern everyone inherently understands, right? And that's because, of course, sometimes high clearouts work, right? There are plenty of times where a stock targets high day clear out liquidity, stop losses at high day clear out for at high day for shorts, swipes that liquidity and dumps, right, and then fades, right? Um, so it's pretty normal, right? So it logically makes sense, but because everybody knows about it, it's often targeted um, by manipulators and low flows, especially on these bigger gappers, these really high volume stocks. You get very aggressive manipulated price action like this, right? So, I mean, this is the same charts as pretty much all my other charts on this pattern. I do like to see, I would say, 3 or 4 minutes of support. I like to see a little double bounce. I like to see a first bounce and a second bounce. Doesn't have to be at the same level, but I do at least like to see a pullback. I'm actually kind of mad about missing the long here for the same reason. Yeah, I was very bullish PALI going out the gate, just because last week we saw some strength. We saw some morning runners, and this had a lot of bullish factors, right? We had really nice volume on this. Um, a big bullish factor is big, consistent volume, right? In this case, these were. Yeah, I also consider another bullish factor when a stock is just consistently swiping high a day like this. Um, in the pre-market on big, consistent, and sometimes increasing volume, right? So we have, in this case, this was trading 500K candles, 700K candles in the pre-market, which is very big, very, very, very big. And I was kind of mad about missing this long. This was off the 1 minute 50 here. And the reason I didn't want to do like a fake 5 minute flag pattern on this was just because I thought the volume, the constant high day swipes were strong, and I thought this pullback was very strong. We've seen these quick dumps, right? These quick dumps with the empty space. We've seen this be very strong, and I don't really consider any of this to be like a liquidity pattern up here. I don't really consider anything up here to be, a long trap or some indication that maybe the stock is in the backside. If anything, nothing. It was just very grindy and strong, and then had a quick pullback. Um, but I didn't make the read here. Um, and you could have longed off of, we'll look at the book, but you could have longed off of like 106, 107 down here after the second bounce and held at least, maybe take some profit on the push towards high day, just in case it's a long trap, and then see. I told my Discord, information out below about the Discord. I told them, it's like, this is probably going to trade 3 million shares per minute um, at market open, and if that volume's as big as I think it's going to be, it's probably going to do some manipulated patterns, right? So, we had at market open, we had a push, right? They stacked a bunch of bids on the 1 minute 50 down here, and they pushed it, and then you could see the little flat top they created with the high day clearout. It's a classic high day clearout, right? Flat top, breakout, and fail, right? Um, But just based on last week, a big lesson I would say today shows that you should always pay attention to which manipulated patterns are working and when they're working, right? And what are kind of the factors that will let you know that this might happen on this stock, right? So, I think the main factors in PALI was the big market open volume, right? Doing very strong stuff in the pre-market, and the fact that this pattern's been working, right? So, these big volume. I said for my Patreon, which you can use to join my Discord, I post these videos every Sunday that I go over. They're about an hour long, and I go over like most of my type of low flow plays for the week. And I make a big list on the side of my screen of like, here's all the factors you got to know. Here's the market conditions you got to know. Um, and a big thing I talk about with high day clearouts, and I covered this in the video on Sunday, which I posted yesterday, uh, were these, a lot of high day clearout short traps will be on these big exhaustion candles, right? Where it'll be the biggest volume candle of the day, right? You'll get a high day clearout big red candle, with this, extremely high volume, um, uh, highest candle of the day. And I say, you want to be careful with these on the really strong plays. These types of high volume dumps are ripe for manipulation, right? You see a lot of short traps. Go back to the strongest runners. The ones that set morning traps and midday traps, especially morning traps. This pattern works great in the morning. A big thing you need to know about market open is market open volatility is at its highest. So market open, very much like pre-market, you could get very fast moves like this, right? Where you get 5-6 minutes of a walk down with an instant squeeze, right? And market opens the same way, right? A lot of patterns that can happen midday, and sadly I didn't really, I was hoping like this would come up like this, but maybe take out these lower highs, but it never did it. Um, I really don't like guessing, you know, the lower, which low. Oh, I don't like guessing that this lower high is going to be as far as it goes because you never know. First of all, you never know if this lower high structure becomes a paint for later. Maybe this goes on a multi-day run, or squeezes in the after hours. You never really know. Um, or maybe it comes up later, right? Maybe you get a much better short later, right? You never know. Sometimes the ideal short might happen 4 hours, after the last liquidity move, right? So I really don't like guessing lower highs for the most part, unless I have some amazing reason to. But 98% of the time, I'm not doing it. Um, but yeah, so Heidi Cloud Short Chap, we'll gotta go over the book, um, and maybe zoom in here really quick. So you could see the 1 minute 50 holding super well on this. You could see this quick dump from high day swipe, high day swipe, high day swipe, high day swipe. Big, nice, consistent volume. Nice little walk down, double bounce. You can long right here, into the rotation. And we can look at the book on that real quickly. So here's that book, right? You could see this book was a little harder to read because a lot of low floats um, are not this thick. If you look at these orders, this means every single cent has like 2,000, 3,000, 1,300, 1,500, 13,000, 15,000 shares at each level. Where most low floats is much emptier. Like most low floats will be like 100 shares, 500 shares, but this book's a lot thicker, and it's kind of a reflection of the low price point. Um, but it makes it a little harder to read, but you could see from my coloring settings that, um, which by the way, I think, can I show this? Oh, that's not showing it for you. I have my heat map settings. If you click on this button, it brings up a configuration thing that you can't see right now. You go to heat map. My upper cutoff is at like maybe 91, 92%. And then my lower cutoff is maybe at like 15 to 20%, if you want an idea of how my book map settings are set for my heat map settings. So, but we can see on this pullback, here's the quick pullback, empty space, and we could see some bids, the big bidders down here, and some new bidders coming in right here. And we could see bid follow up. We see more bid follow up. They actually undercut it and then shove it straight up. So, um, this is why it's nice to have your average down here because you can keep your risk down here. So when stuff like this happens, you don't get faked out. Um, but yeah, here's market open. Here's the bids, right? So if you're long going into market open, the main thing you want to be paying attention to is the bids, right? What bids? Because at market open, there's always going to be new bids and new asks. So you want to look at what the book is telling you. At market open, we could see that they threw up a bunch of bids right away. Very obvious. This was about 50, 60,000 shares on DXF feed and Bookmap. And you could see them pushing it through the space up here, right? And for the nice little high day clear out. Um, but yeah, here's the high day clear out short trap, and this is a very classic high day clear out short trap, right? So here's the high day clear out, here's the dump, and pretty much the two things you're always looking for: relatively empty book to the upside, which usually does exist because of how aggressive this dump is, and you want to see bids, right? You can see a lot of bids down here, and I do like to see a bounce. Usually the first bounce doesn't immediately go up. You can wait for, you can wait 3, 4, 5 minutes. I would say at least 3 minutes, sometimes longer. Um, the read, the soak. You're reading this like for the long. You're not trying to guess which of these legs is going to go up. You're actually trying to guess which support level is going to hold. You're looking down here. Like it's the same thing when you go short. When you're going short, you're looking up here, right? And this had a chance of like maybe faking people out. I actually saw this push to high day, and I saw the ask get stacked, and I saw no bid follow up. And I just thought the volume and the pattern has been working so well that I might as well just believe in the pattern. But that's why I took a little off up here because I'm like, well, maybe they just fake people out and pull it. Like, you never know what's going to happen, and you never know when a pattern's going to stop working. Um, so I took some off, and a lot of people in my room also took some off. And then I just held for the high day push. But you could kind of tell that it's unsurprising that this dumped and down halted like this because not a whole lot of bids actually followed this move up. All the bigger bidders were the guys that were supporting the stock down here. It's not overly impressive. The best longs, especially these morning short traps that up halt and squeeze 30, the stuff we saw last week squeezing 30, 40, 50%. Uh, the best longs will have new bids showing up. New bids, new bids, new bids. You want to see the new bids. You want to see the big orange lines. You want to see an empty book to the upside. You want to see a continuation. Um, and this is kind of the opposite, right? This is kind of just like not a whole lot of bids. So when you're long low floats, if you look at the book map, if no bids are following it up, there's always a chance you could get knifed. So once it started knifing, I actually just got out, right? This was so aggressive that, yeah, I saw this dump. This is like, and you have to, sometimes you have to, if there's no bids, you have to be reading the tape and you have to be reading the book because you got to react, either set a stop loss, maybe set a trailing stop, or be ready to, market sell the rest of your order because you never know when the 10, 20% dump is coming, right? If there's no bids supporting, even if there are bids, you don't know, right? Yeah, I thought, oh, this is such a crazy high volume play. Maybe a bunch of shorts will chase down here, and we'll get at least some type of rotation, maybe up to this, 135 level. Maybe swipe, shake out some of the short chasers and then pull, but, you could tell that it's actually kind of still going sideways. It's still trading at $1. It's actually really not too far away from. This is 128. Who knows what happens in the after hours on this thing, and that type of thing. But or if this goes on a multi-day run, or maybe you know, it gaps down tomorrow, then comes back up on Wednesday. You never know. You know what's going to happen. Um, but yeah, hiding cloud short trap. If I'd say the big lessons are, this pattern's been working, so pay attention to that. The strong pre-market with the high consistent volume, the crazy market open volume, and then the book, right? You get the pattern, and then you see the bids. You see the support get tested at least 2 times. Like here's the second bounce, right? Here's a little follow-up bounce, um, and the empty book to the upside, and yeah, and manipulated low floats. just getting back to the chart here. Look at this candle, 4.2 million, biggest candle of the day, still got swiped, right? And lots of, we saw last week that we had insane continuation. Didn't get it today. I mean, you never know. Uh, there's kind of a inkling that this wasn't going to continue from the lack of bid follow up, but it's hard to know. You never know what's going to get market ordered straight up. You don't know what's going to get up halted. You don't know what new bids are going to show up. You don't know. You don't know until it happens. Um, yeah, and in low floats, you gotta trail your stops on your longs because you never know when the momentum's going to leave, right? Longing low floats requires constant momentum, right? So you need the volume and you need the bids and you need good averages, down here, right? So, anyways, that's for trade. PALI, more long stuff. I would have been interested in shorting it, especially after this. If it set up a new structure up here, or if it backside swiped here, I would have been very interested, but just didn't get it. So, uh, and I'm a little mad about missing this long right here, right? I know a few people in my room hit that too. They were long. Um, this you could see the dump, the quick dump from high day. This is bear. It is bullish. Sorry, not bearish. Bullish. So, anyways, that is Pally. Information up below about the Discord and the Patreon. There's a ton of cool stuff on the Patreon, and there's a great community in the Discord. So, have a good one, guys.